how does a typical day go for both of you?
Get up early and take our son, who's 6-year-old, to the bus stop and go from there. Very chaosy and lots of things happening always, and we just deal with what's happening in front of us, and then we go from there. Not much of a planning days, so we just basically take every minute and just move to the next. And probably around 9-10 o'clock we get home and go to bed, and the next day it's quite busy.
It's interesting because Ava says we don't have a plan, and it's pretty much true. If you look at the typical way of opening a business, and you put a business plan together, you do all kinds of research and studying, you raise your funds, and there are certain steps in order that you take to do it correctly. We don't do any of that. A lot of that is because of me. I just kind of throw things against the wall and away we go. I am the king of the procrastinators, and I'm a very lazy person. I don't like to plan because that requires a lot of effort up front. And while there's nothing wrong with that, and I don't see anything wrong with that, unfortunately I've been able to do everything, and Ava has been along for the ride, that things have worked out very well that haven't forced us to do that. So I keep blaming everybody for enabling us to not plan, if that makes any sense, from the contractors to everybody else. It's quite frenetic. It's a lot of stress, and it does create some issues. But at the end of the day, I think the end result is much better, and it's much more real. And because it's much more real and authentic, I think the clients and the people that come in, I mean, our place is different than anywhere else. And a lot of the reason it is because of exactly the way we put it together and how we operate. So it's very difficult to duplicate what we do because of the approach that we take. And I should say that, with our son, Ava is on site at the spa much more than I am. I handle a lot of the things that I do. I can do not at the spa in terms of the marketing, in terms of the financial end of things. So I also kind of play Mr. Mom. We're kind of reversed in those roles. So we have a good 8-hour window when he's at school. He's in first grade, so there's a good 7-8 hour window when he's at school. But outside of that, then I'm picking him up at the bus when Ava's down at the spa. On her days off, she comes and joins us. And it is kind of interesting because we do kind of have the traditional male-female roles, mom-dad roles reversed a little bit in our household.
With all that said, especially about the planning, how would another couple start in your industry? What education or what startup capital preparation would they need to start in the day industry?
Ava?
I won't recommend it to do it as a couple if they do it. I mean, the trust is there, and that's probably the greatest treasure of the whole thing. But I do think they should research. They should have money, otherwise they're gonna, get into trouble as we did first, and it's very, very hard. But I think a lot of research. I don't know if we did enough research, so we made that mistake, and I don't want that to anybody to happen. So plan it out a lot, very detailedly, and do a lot of research before you get yourself into it.
I think the biggest thing, even though we didn't sit down and write a business plan, and we did actually have pro forma and stuff like that because I put it in front of some other people to potentially invest, they chose not to do that at the time, so we just did it ourselves. Thank God, actually, we did it ourselves because we're much better off just having ourselves as our partners and not having any other third parties involved. We didn't have any traditional bank loans. We didn't have any of that. The one thing that I will say that is imperative that you have to have, and this goes to your education, and you don't need an MBA, and you don't need a business school, and you don't even need a college degree. What you need to have is the ability to read. And what I mean by that is you need to read everything you can about, and this can be for any business. It doesn't have to be for spas, but particularly for spas or anything that has a constant daily interaction with lots of customers. Read as much as you can from every different source available. Industry sources, industry magazines, current topical events. I mean, our business, with the spa business, you're covering a lot of health issues, you're covering a lot of wellness issues, you're covering a lot of, obviously, fashion and beauty issues. Our particular spa, we are one of only 12 founding seed spas for the Green Spa Network in North America. So we have a vested interest of not only talking the talk in terms of being organic and green and being responsible, but we have to walk the walk too. So we have to be very much in tune with what's going on in that particular field as well. So we have to read and research that. So before you start doing any kind of plans or pro formas or raising money or anything, just sit down and start reading. And just start learning about it that way. And by reading and seeing what's out there, you're going to find out real quick what works and what doesn't work. The other thing to not fall into when you're starting this kind of business, don't get sold a bill of goods by a bunch of industry reps, because this business is rife with manufacturer reps that are going to walk in and sit there and try to sell you beautiful machines that go ping. That's a Monty Python reference, by the way. Really expensive machines that on their little sheets, they sit there and explain, you can sell these treatments for, billions of dollars, I'm paraphrasing, of course, for lots of money that will make you all this money. But the problem is, in real life, nobody goes and has those treatments. So what you're going to be left with is a giant room with a giant machine that nobody uses and just siphons money out all the time. So be careful about what you get sold from representatives that might not have your best interest at heart.